Good day and welcome to EMTV. In today's episode, we'll talk about the aftermath of the devastating earthquakes in Turkey and Syria. How are Syrian and Turkish students in Rotterdam coping with the news and helping survivors? And our reporter Adinda will take us to the Sustainability Hub for a Syrian cooking workshop. And it is organized to support the earthquake survivors in Syria.
With our participants, we are just cooking some national Syrian dishes, and we are going to send our ticket profits to the earthquake appeal in Syria.
Our first guest is a Syrian student, Rita Mousa. Welcome, Rita. And joining us later on is student Şenbak, who has started a fundraiser for Turkey. Rita, thank you for being here. How are you doing, and how are your family and friends are doing?
Firstly, I'd like to thank you for having me here. Before I start anything, I would like to say that I think us bringing a voice to Syria and talking about what's going on is such an important step. So thank you for having me here. I'm doing okay. I'm doing as okay as I can. My family and friends are safe, thankfully. That's the most important thing. Some of them have had to relocate after the earthquake because the area that they are living in was in one of the affected ones. And, you know, they've survived this physically, but it's definitely shaken them up. It's taken a toll on them, which was, I could say, hard to see because considering that they have went through a war for 13 years, they're one of the strongest people that I know and the strongest people that you can meet. Yet this earthquake really took a toll on them also mentally.
Yeah, I can imagine. And as you said that we don't hear as much about the earthquake in Syria on the news as Turkey, for example. Can you tell us about the situation there? Like how big was the impact of the quakes?
Mm-hmm. So, sorry. So the scope, I would say that the scope, where it hit Syria the most would be northwestern Syria, so the following places: Idlib, Hama, Homs, and Latakia.
And how big is
that? It covers around, I would say, 500 kilometers. So, yes. If I wanted to describe it in in a European scale, we could say from Paris to Dortmund would be the effect of Dortmund in Germany would be the effect of the earthquake. And to give you some estimated around 1,451 buildings were completely destroyed. There were a lot that were partially destroyed, thousands that have later on been rendered as inhabitable. So around 180,000 people as of last week are displaced, and we know of 6,000 deaths. So and that number has only increased by now.
Yes, and you said in your earlier interview with us that life of Syrian people should not be up to politics. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes. So one of the things that Syrians are suffering from are the sanctions. And the sanctions were imposed by the EU and the US separately because of the politics surrounding Syria. And so people don't have food. Around 80% are living under the poverty line. So the economy is suffering so much that people don't have resources. We don't even have the digging tools to get people that are stuck under the rubble. A lot of them have died under the rubble because we did not have enough of the digging machines to get them out. We did not have electricity. One of the times where I was contacting my family, I had to wait for hours for them to get electricity and to text me, "We're okay." And so that's when I start to ask, are Syrian lives and are the fates of Syrian people up to politics? Like, are these sanctions imposed? They're imposed for political reasons, but what about the Syrians that are being affected? What about Syrians that are dying, that are going through all these terrible conditions on top of an earthquake with these conditions that they've already had due to the war for 13 years. Why are the fates of Syrians up to politics in this case?
I see it touches you, like you're emotional about it. Do you know people who are the victims of the earthquakes, or?
I know some people that had to completely leave behind their houses, and their situation is unclear as of now. I also know that I know someone that had to stay outside for many days in the cold because his home was simply unsafe. Yeah.
And how can we help? What do they need?
So when we talk about how we can help Syrians, I could pinpoint 3 things. One of them would be to talk, to put Syria back on the map. Syria has been forgotten about. It's been ignored for 13 years. There's barely any media coverage. People don't even know what's going on. So it would be to talk, to educate people, to ask Syrians. So you could come to me. People have, my name is Rita Mousa. The email could be, you can contact me through email. So talk to your Syrian friends. The second would be to lift the sanctions. So as I mentioned earlier, for example, I'd like to just quickly share a story. There was this woman in Italy. She's a Syrian woman living there, and she started a fundraiser. That fundraiser was blocked, and they talked to her that if she were to start another fundraiser because of the sanctions, they would take legal action, and she could not send money.
And it was blocked by?
The fundraiser, it was fundraiser.com, and they just blocked the fundraiser. They stopped it.
And if I may go back a little about talking to your Syrian friends or people that who you know, what would you tell them about your country?
Well, I would tell them, I wish one day you can, instead of seeing all of the difficulties that we're facing, I hope you see our olive trees, our beautiful nature, our generosity as people.
Okay. And so the first one, if you want to help Syria, is to lift the ban?
Yes,
and then
to lift the ban on the sanctions. The US mentioned that they would freeze the sanctions for 180 days, but again, like I told you about that story of the Syrian girl in Italy that tried to send money, it was blocked. And the US, in terms of the US, when people are trying to send money, it's still extremely difficult even if they said that they would freeze the sanctions, it's still very hard. So not only in Europe, but also in the US. Yeah. So I would say lift the sanctions, give us some help. And I also want to mention that there has only been one plane from Europe. So Italy has sent out one plane of aid to Syria. We have not received any other aid from Europe. There was talks that there would be a ship from Italy with the help of other EU countries. We have not received said ship. There has been no other aid from Europe.
Such a difference with Turkey, you want to say. And we as individuals, what can we do to help?
To donate. So I do have I would recommend the Pro Terra Sancta organization. It's an Italian organization. They're sending out hot meals to Syrians. And there are a lot of embassies. So, for example, the Syrian embassy in Brussels, if you could check where you are, where your families are in Europe, a lot of Syrian embassies are accepting donations of winter clothes, of medical supplies. So to check that as well as other organizations that I can link with you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And is there any fundraising for Syria at the university?
No, I do not know.
Do you want to set up one?
Yes, I would like to set up one, but I would need the help of Erasmus University to communicate about that. Because of the sanctions, it would be a bit difficult, but if they could help, I would love to.
Okay, and you also mentioned that you want to build a platform for Syrian students. Can you tell us about the plan?
So I would like to open a community, a society for not only Syrians but Arabs, because I can see within the Arab community in EUR we feel that we do not have a voice here, and I would love to open communication with the university with my peers, and to hopefully have their help and to make it more accessible for us to start some societies, to bring a voice and to share more about what's happening in the Arab world.
I think it's a great initiative. So, Rita, thank you so much for being here and for sharing your story with us. I hope you can realize the platform as soon as possible.
Thank you so much.
And our reporter Adinda joined the Syrian cooking workshop to know how hard cooking Syrian food is.
With our participants, we are just cooking some national Syrian dishes that we made vegan. And for this time, it's also a fundraising event. And we are going to send our ticket profits to the earthquake appeal in Syria. So today we are making muhammara and hummus. Those are like dips, and I think they're really popular in the Netherlands as well. And we are going to have them with some vegetables and some pita chips. And our main course is lentil pasta with onions, lentil, and just some greens.
I just help out like cutting some carrots and cutting some like bell peppers, and also helping out with the pita bread and everything. It smells so good in here. I wish you guys can actually smell it. What did you guys have to do to like prepare the food?
We had to cut several things like the onions. We prepared lemon, we squeezed the lemon.
So that we're going to put everything together with some herbs and I think some pomegranate seeds. So we're going to make a type of mixture between a pasta and a lentil soup.
Which one is your favorite so far?
I don't know how to pronounce the name, but for me this one was the nicest one, especially because we did it.
Well, I was going to say the salad, but I cooked it, so I really like this orange hummus. It's really good.
Great to see that students enjoy the workshop and supporting good cause. And here with me is Ella, Turkish student who has set up a fundraising for Turkey. Welcome, Ella.
Hello.
And you were there, right, at the cooking workshop?
Yeah, I participated myself. I didn't cook, but I was there to help the Sustainability Hub. I saw the menu, I watched the presentation, and everything was great.
Oh, good to hear. And first question, of course, how are you doing and how are your family and friends doing?
For me, I think I'm doing good as I can, to be honest. Like, of course, the time has gone by since the earthquake, so the feelings are a bit more numb in a sense. I'm trying to do okay, and my family, thank God, they're safe, so that's a great relief for me. But they're, of course, really shaken by the news, and, you know, so there are some news that they expect earthquakes around Turkey in a short period of time, so they're in constant worry, so as I. But life goes on some way, and we're just trying to hold on.
But how do you cope with the news? Because I can imagine that it's hard because you're living far away from your family.
Yeah, so during the earthquake, actually, I was awake. Turkey is 2 hours ahead of us, so the earthquake took place around 4 o'clock in the morning. And it was 2 o'clock here, and my friends and I, we were just sitting, and then I was just scrolling to Instagram, and then when I saw a headline about there is a huge earthquake in Turkey without mentioning the magnitude nor the affected regions, I immediately texted my parents, like, are you okay? What if something happened to her? And they were asleep, I guess. But
So you didn't hear anything from them?
No, I didn't hear anything, and that was stressing me so much. But then a couple of hours passed by, and we learned that the magnitude was huge, like 7.8, and the affected regions were more towards the south of Turkey. Thankfully, my parents are not living there, so we weren't directly affected by the earthquake. But yeah, it was devastating. I mean, I don't know how I felt at that moment. Like, I just stood there, sat down, and tried to comprehend things that are going on without, like, letting it overcome me or, like, overtake me. But the next morning it was more difficult because that's when we started to watch the news and saw, like, the live broadcast of the region and the worry in people, the rush of getting out, saving their families and friends. So yeah.
I can imagine. And that was when you decided to start a fundraising? Like, okay, I'm going to do something for my country. Can you walk us through the process?
Yes, so I had an exam the week of the earthquake, and I had my final lecture on Monday, which was when the earthquake happened, actually. So as you can maybe imagine, it was really difficult for me to concentrate on the lecture. So I was just sitting there watching the news, to be honest. I couldn't listen to anything the professor actually mentioned. And it was sunny here, so I decided to take a walk to my home because it's close and I just needed to, like, walk. Then that's when I realized that I should do something, like we should do something. And of course, being away from home, you don't have that much of an opportunity to do something. And the fastest and the most logical thing I could have think about was setting up a fundraiser to get financial help and then send it to the organizations that got affected within the earthquake. And that's when I immediately went up to my roommate and we just set up the platform and we started doing it.
Okay, so you did it on GoFundMe, and how come people know that there is a page to donate?
The thing is, GoFundMe is an easy way to set up a fundraiser. That's what I've heard from, like, influencers and, you know, several other people that actually had started a fundraiser. That's when I was like, okay, let's use GoFundMe. And we just opened a profile. I just opened a profile under my name. And then it was a difficult process because you have to have your ID verified and then your bank account verified. They are constantly requesting documents over documents. Then we set it up. And the funny thing was that the first goal for our fundraiser was to raise around like 250 euros only. Because the thing is, since we're not backed up by an organization, we're just two volunteer girls that are representing Turkish students that are studying here. We didn't know that people would trust us that much, and I can imagine what people was thinking about it too. But it turned to be a huge success, better than we expected.
How much do you have now?
We have almost 7,900 euros raised. Wow. It's over like 550 donors that helped us. We just spread it out with the link to the GoFundMe site. We just shared it with our WhatsApp group chats, like we have a Turkish group chat, and everyone sent it out to their own faculties, like their WhatsApp group chats, and then we posted Instagram stories, and everyone was like, okay, let's post it more and more and more. So it went all over the place, and it was a bit stressful for me too, because as you can maybe imagine, like setting your goal for 250 euros, you don't have that much of a responsibility compared to raising nearly 8,000 euros. I had the responsibility of the money of people, around like 450 people. So that was a bit of a process.
Do you already have a plan on how to do that?
We said it already, like last week. We sent it to an organization named Up in Turkey, which are doing an extremely good job. They're helping all throughout Turkey, and they're a volunteer-based organization. And since we were a volunteer-based like fundraising team, we thought it was best to donate to that organization. and we sent the money last week, and I'm sure that they're just using it wisely and helping numerous other people.
And it's still open, right? The GoFundMe
Yeah,
page.
we paused it in a bit to transfer all the money to the organization. Now it's currently running again, yeah.
Thank you for joining us, Ella, and thank you so much for your effort. I hope the situation gets better soon and you can raise more and more fund for the survivors of the earthquakes.
Hopefully, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. And if you want to donate either to Turkey or Syria, you can find the link under this video. And we will end this show with something completely different. The university has announced a climate emergency and wants to make the campus completely vegan by 2030. So we ask you, our staff and students, how you felt about that.
What do you think about this new policy that EUR is going to implement?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a good thing. I think definitely meat is one of the leading causes for climate change, and every little bit helps.
I think it's a good initiative actually, so because it's the official events of the university more or less, teaching and research related. So yeah, it's a good idea to make that like sustainable or vegan.
I'm a vegetarian, so in that sense I don't mind. It doesn't affect me at all. But I can imagine that you would also still want to offer choice to people. I think for global impact and the environment, it's probably a good thing if less people eat dairy products. And I think there's a lot of good alternatives out there that taste really, really good.
I think for the environment is a good option. Although I don't believe that all employees will be very happy about it. Usually you get like the bitter balls and those kind of things, so I think I have to get used to it probably. But still, I think it's also a good thing.
And what do you think about all vegan campus by 2030?
For me, that would be totally fine. Now you have only toasty, pizza, whatsoever, so I really miss this kind of variety of vegetarian or vegan food.
I get the intention behind it, but I wouldn't necessarily support it, as in maybe more options should be provided for vegans, but at the same time it shouldn't really be enforced.
I think it would be smarter to give the people the opportunity to like maybe an enhanced vegan menu, because right now I feel like if you want to have a good diet, it's not really possible on campus to do it vegan. But I think that would be the right idea, not to prohibit the other side.
I hope it will be possible, but I think there will be people that really want meat in their food, so I don't know.
Would you choose a vegan meal over a meal with meat if it's cheaper?
Meat is kind of good, but yeah, maybe if it's cheaper, we might consider.
It would depend on what I'm feeling at the moment probably, but price does play an impact.
At home I actually don't eat a lot of meat because it's already cheaper. So yeah, I wouldn't mind if there's no meat in my food actually.
Thank you all for watching. We will be there with another topic next time. And don't forget to go to erasmusmagazine.nl for the latest news.